Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is Joe and Jay Outspoken. You can find us by going to Linktree/Joe and Jay Outspoken and get all of our social media channels except the one that Joe was just mouthing right there.
Hey, look, man, it's in the works, all right? Just leave us alone.
It's in the works, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I got new socks for my Only Feet account, so... Oh, wait a minute. You shouldn't even have socks, right?
Yeah, bro.
They're the toeless ones. They're the toeless.
Well, that's
ones.
how you pull
You
them in.
draw 'em
right?
in,
You-
yeah.
you're wearing socks, and eventually you do a toe reveal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start with the small toe, then go to the big toe. Yeah.
Get those that have those little the toe fingers. You know the little.
Individual ones.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
I
and then
think
cut them,
I
and then put the cap, and then put them back, and now we could just do one little toe at a time. A little
I don't
reveal.
remember if it was my mom or my aunt or both when I was a kid, and they had socks that had toes, and each one was like a different color, like a red, blue,
Oh
yellow,
yeah,
green one.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, there's those shoes that came out.
That's
they're
now
doing
part
that.
of the LGBT apparel. You can't wear that.
Is it?
Yeah. You have to have a pronoun.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to be wearing those anytime soon, anyways.
I don't mind you
So-
wearing them. I like it when you wear them.
Here we are at our I don't even know what number episode this is, but we are going to be going over Marxism today. What is Marxism? What is it?
We're going to jump
gonna
into
get
and talk
it.
about a little bit about Karl Marx, right? The guy who started it all, right?
Yep.
But-
Him and Frederick Engels. So we'll see how this all plays out.
Isn't he
So,
still alive? Doesn't he work for Disney?
Marx?
Engel?
Oh, no, I think we're talking about a different guy.
Oh, all right.
All right, y'all. We're going to get this party started. Let's do this.
Here we go.
Well, everybody, here we go. Welcome back. We are going to cover Marxism, and I'm going to start right off by giving the Webster Dictionary definition of Marxism, just in case anybody is
This is the official definition.
confused.
Official.
The official, yeah. I mean, whoever makes them official made them official, so this is official. Here we go.
All right. Is it an action word? Is it an action word?
Is it? This is however you want to identify. If you want to identify as Marxist or capitalist, right? And that's the big thing. Marxism is primarily trying to fix all the. Well, let me do the definition really quick. So, Marxism is a political, economic, and social philosophy that analyzes capitalism's flaws and the impacts of the ruling class on laborers. It was developed in the mid-19th century by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels in their work, The Communist Manifesto. Marxism is named after Marx and his work on the historical effects of capitalism on labor, productivity, and economic development. So, their big thing is that capitalism is the root of all evil, basically. We used to see that a lot more back in our day, and then before us, those people that would wear those signs that would say money is the root of all evil and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I would agree that, the worship of money is really bad. I mean, it's going to send you down the wrong path.
Absolutely. I mean it goes against our Christian beliefs as well, right? It doesn't. It plays an important role. But I think the what people don't understand that the major role of that was to for workers to revolt against capitalism, right? That was a goal of Marxism. But people keep wanting to separate Marxism from communism, but it is the pathway to communism. That's the whole point.
Right.
And you see these young kids today in America who are saying we need to go back to Marxism. Capitalism is horrible, blah blah. And then you try to tell them, well, so you're good with communism. So you're good with what Russia was doing.
Right.
No, it's totally different. No, It's not different. You're what it is, and if you remember the hammer and chisel that the communist Russia had,
Hmm.
it was a working class. That was the whole point of Marxism. It was workers
Right.
revolting against capitalism, right? Because they wanted to, they favored a more communist system, and but they can't like history in the school systems is gone. Now it's all about the LGBTQ and then your pronouns and how to define them and things like that. Like feelings, like that's what's important in school, and we've gone away from history and what it's taught us. Right? What's that very that famous quote that people say, like that if you fail to learn about history, you're bound to repeat it or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Those that don't, basically, that don't study history are bound to repeat it.
right,
Yeah.
and that's what we're seeing today with this uprise in these youngsters talking about Marxism, communism, socialism, right, and saying that capitalism is the root of all evil. And I guess people don't understand that humans are the root of all evil, not the systems that are in play, right?
Right.
It's the belief system behind those systems that could create the evil. But at the end of the day, it's the individual who is the evil one, right? That like uh, famous Hitler, right? I mean, Stalin, Karl Marx, all those had che Guevara, right? Fidel
Yeah.
Castro, all these
Mao.
people, right? All these people might have had good intentions of freeing people from dictators, whatever the case is, but then themselves became dictators, right? And they don't understand that. They think that the systems was better, and you have these kids in universities, right, taking in their safe spaces, talking about these types of government, and you have older folks that came from Cuba, that came from just different places where we have these issues, where they have these actual government systems in place, saying, do you even know what that is? And of course, they don't want to argue because they have no clue. They think they know what it
Right.
is, right? Their definition from their hippie instructor teacher tells them their view of what Marxism is, right? But again,
Yeah.
and this is what intrigues me the most, Jay. Everybody cries about this socialism, or that what do you call it? What are we talking about now? The
Marxism.
capitalism is horrible,
Oh,
right? That, oh,
capitalism.
my capitalism's bad and this and that.
Excuse
As
me.
they stand there with their Starbucks and their iPhone and their $200 pairs of shoes, they're arguing these facts, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, it'd be interesting to see you survive in one of these actual governments. Like, go where
Right.
there's socialism, go where there's Marxism, go where there's communism, whatever it is, go where they have that in play, and let me know how that works for you. Let me know if you have those rights to sit here in this corner and argue your beliefs with that freedom that you have here in the States, as horrible as it is, and let me know how that goes for you. You
Right.
know, but we don't have that because they don't want to go over there because they love their Starbucks and their
Yeah.
$200 shoes.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know, the problem is, historically, anything that started off as what you would call like a democracy, um, eventually led to a socialist society, which eventually in turn led to some kind of communism slash what Marxism is. And we've had forms of what you would call a Marxism before their ideals even existed, and then the totalitarianism, and then dictatorships.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people are like, well, our democracy, this and that, our democracy, that. That's the problem, is we're not a democracy. And that's the problem, is they're trying to push us into that, because that's the first stage of going full socialism, communism, and then Marxism, down the road. We
That
are a
but people don't understand what democracy is. People think that democracy is what we live in, which we don't, because it's the majority rules
right.
concept what democracy is, and that's not what we rule under here.
Well, we've said it before. We are a constitutional republic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
we have democratic values. That's a whole different
Very
thing.
different.
And we have socialist programs, or social programs,
Mm-hmm.
That's a far cry difference from socialism.
Correct.
Constitutional republic having democratic values is a long distance from an actual democracy, right?
Correct.
And then But if you listen to people in schools and stuff like that, they don't have any clue, man. We 100% live in a democracy. So that's been really tried, it's been pushed over and over to get people to say those words. So they never think that there's anything different than us being in a democracy. There's no such thing as a constitutional republic in a lot of these kids' minds, and not to get off of Marxism or whatever, but I watched a deal and there was a bunch of these kids on a campus and they went and interviewed them and said, so that's the Palestinian flag you guys are holding there, right? Yeah. And when you guys were chanting, what were you chanting? The river to the sea. And they asked them a question.
Oh, I saw that. What river and what sea?
What river and what sea, And the kids just had blank stares. And it's like, so you understand what you're chanting, right? It's basically saying we want to wipe them out from one side to the other, and you don't even know where those places are at, And I know maybe that's a little bit of okay, they don't know geography that well. Yeah, but if you don't know the geography of the place that you're chanting against, how can you chant for a genocide against a people, right? And the thing is, I get it. I see both sides of things. You're pissed off because you believe that Israel is going after all these little kids and, or after people, and it's killing kids and, regular families and everything, and creating a genocide over there. So the answer to that is more genocide on the other side. I mean, it's the hypocrisy about all this stuff. And the thing is who's winning this? Well, all the people that have vested interests in war, the military industrial complex is winning on either side. Raytheon sells to both sides of this camp. They don't give a crap who buys their weaponry and stuff like that. So this, again, so think of socialist places or communist places, and I've used this example before that I think is really important for people to really think about. So if we could say we just invented a time machine, we just figured out a time machine. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to just say, you know what? All you kids are right. You know more than anybody else in the world. So we're going to turn the United States 100% socialist, and we're just going to go for it. And let's see what happens, right? Jeez. Because we got a time machine now. We can turn back the clock and come back to this time and then say, see, either it worked out or it didn't, right? And we're going to do this for 50 years. Well, we've done that experiment, and it's called North and South Korea. And if you look at those two, and it's one country, really, it's two sides of one country, right? That are, if you look at it from images from space, especially at night, you can't even see North Korea. It's black, right? And South Korea is all lit up, and South Korea would be, pretty big capitalist society, right?
Yeah.
I mean, over 50% of the populace in the United States own Samsung phones, and those are made in Korea, right? So that experiment's already been done, and it's been done many times over.
Do you remember that? Remember the images of West and East Berlin? The contrast between both.
Absolutely. You have a capitalist,
which was one city and then split into two. And the difference, how people lived in West Berlin versus East Berlin. And I mean, it's just that alone was enough for people to understand. But history doesn't teach that anymore. History's not.
We were alive, and it was a big deal. Remember when the wall came down?
Yeah.
When Reagan was like, Mr. Gorbachev, break down that wall or whatever. I'm probably misquoting him exactly verbatim.
But it was something to that effect. I remember the TV was a big deal, and they had those big chains pulling that wall down, and then the families reuniting. Like, it was amazing. Yes. Do you remember that?
The coolest thing that I remember seeing, because it was all graffiti, the wall was all spray painted and stuff, and they were trying to get pieces of the wall because they were selling that off on well, they're like, hey, this is an actual piece of the wall.
Yeah, but there's sections in museums now, but that's another example of what you were just talking about.
Yeah. I remember one of the sections, it came down and there was, like the concrete dust and
Mhm,
everything going
mhm.
everywhere. And these two guys and a couple other people, they come across and they go and they shake hands and they
Oh.
hug and everything. And it was like,
Even the soldiers did.
yeah, man.
Even the soldiers did.
The thing is, there's no color or sex or religion or anything that's divided against each other. It's the governments.
Mhm.
So think about it right now. If the Ukraine war wasn't happening, right? And and Russia was just doing its thing, we were
We
just
call
doing
that
our
the
thing.
Biden war. That's the Biden war.
The Biden war, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. The yellow and blue war.
Yeah.
So Russia's doing its thing, we're doing our thing. We don't have anything against them. I met some Russian guys years and years ago playing in a band, and it was funny because I had a couple of friends that I was with. We had a good conversation with them, and we were like really interested in them at the time. I mean, this dating myself and everything back
We
pretty
already
far.
know
But
how old you are.
yeah, the Scorpions, right? The band, the Scorpions.
Yeah, you old,
Yeah.
bro.
They had done this song about Gorky Park, right?
Mhm.
And anyhow, we were asking them about it, and they were like, "Oh man, and they had their accents are so cool and everything." And the
Yeah.
thing that's sad is they knew English like really well,
Yeah.
and they're like, "We love the U.S., we love rock and roll, and we're sad that our countries have this beef with each other." And the key thing, and it really stuck with me, is like, our people love your people. The thing is the propaganda from our countries makes us think we don't like each other. And I'm, paraphrasing. Obviously, I'm not saying verbatim exactly what those guys said, but that has stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I mean, and we've discussed this in other episodes about things. Take people from 10 different countries of the world and really make them random, whether it's the United States and one from France and Russia and one from Zimbabwe and one from, just pick all these countries. What do those people as individuals want? They want a decent life for their families. They want to be able to feed their kids and clothe them and for them not to get sick and no disease, and they want to stay out of damn wars and everything. Everybody wants the same thing. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what language you speak. We all
What
want the
color you
same
are.
thing. No, it doesn't. None of that matters. So why are we doing all this? Well, because we get, duped into it by, powerful people that, I mean, there's an old saying, it's always the poor that fight the war. I mean, rich people don't go fight wars. The people that, you're sending the kids that couldn't get through high school or whatever out to, lose their legs and stuff like that. And it's not like people that, or patriotic don't join the military too, that could have done anything else. That obviously happens all the time. After 9/11 happened, heck, I mean, the signups were through the roof,
Let's just remember Pat Tillman with the Arizona Cardinals left a very great career to go fight for America. So,
and,
I mean,
there's
a lot of patriotism behind our servicemen, and thank you out there, all our servicemen, for doing what you do.
And that whole story, that's a whole thing in itself, what happened to him.
But you made a very important point, and I think it's something that we should really kind of talk about, is that in these countries, whether it's a socialist country or a communist country, it is not, we have to consider, especially in those type of governments, it's not the choice of the people to be that type of government. It is the choice of those leaders, right? They're the ones that want to make it communist. They're the ones who want to make it socialist. They're the ones that are sending that propaganda. You can't really blame the people. They live there. It's like it's. Can you imagine? Let's just take a picture right now. How hard it is for people in Latin America to migrate. Well, not right now. Under Biden, it's very easy, right? You got trains that come over here full of illegals. But how difficult when you do it the correct way, like my dad did. It costs a lot of money. Right. And it takes a lot of time, and you have to follow rules. You have to be in the country. You have to be working. There's so many rules, which I'm in favor of, because you have to be productive in this country. The reason this country is so successful is because of the productivity that people have and the pride that we have in doing what we do. So
Absolutely.
Just imagine how difficult it is to get here from an attached continent, right? Now imagine Russia trying to get people from that are Russian that want to have a better life trying to get over here. How much more difficult that is, right? So,
It's
or
gonna be
in
really
Cuba
tough.
or anywhere like that where it's very hard and they're disconnected from something like this. So we have to really consider the fact that um, it's not by choice that they choose to live in that type of environment. That's what they're born into, right? But we
Right.
give humans not that much credit, right? We think that just because you're Russian or you live in Russia or you're Cuban or live in Cuba, that you're a bad person. You have horrible ideologies. You don't believe in God. You're. There's just so many things that people think living under those conditions, right? That they're evil people. And that's on us. That's something that we train ourselves because we allow the government to kind of feed that to us. You know that communism is bad, and everybody that's communist wants to take over the world and kill all the democracies around the world, and that's not the case, right? We all know it's the governments that run things. For example, these fine people of America voted for Biden, and you see the catastrophe that's happening. You think that's something that American people want? You think we want to pay more for gas? We want to pay more for food? You know, people can't even go to fast food anymore because you're paying $20 for one meal, right?
Right.
So it's important to know that these systems do not work, but doesn't mean that the people that live there follow it or are happy with it. And the problem that we're having today is in our own society is that our kids, the younger generation, they don't know what suffering is. They're born into this world that's so easy to live. You know, like the hardest thing is like, oh my God, they closed Starbucks early today. I don't got my cappuccino. Right? That's like the hardest thing they got to deal with. They're like
They ran out of whipped cream
yeah,
for my.
like, oh my God, that Kate Spade purse is no longer for sale. I can't afford. You know, like these are their dramas in life, right? These are the catastrophes that are happening
Hey
in their
man,
life.
when they sold out of Katy Perry tickets, you were bummed out. So stop it.
Here we go. Throwing out my business like it's everyone's. You know what I mean? Come on, Jay. Come on. But do you understand what I mean? Like today's kids, their catastrophes are like when we grew up, our major thing, and not maybe our parents, but even in our parents, like they had my mom, my dad, they worked fields, man. That's how they put food on the table. They had to work field, right? I mean, hard work and dedication. They became entrepreneurs. They had their own businesses. And so my life was just that much easier, right? But
Right.
my parents raised me like we were poor, right? Because I had to work. I had to earn my keep. My dad gave me, he paid me. I mean, he wrote a check out, showed it to me for tax purposes, right? And deposited. I never got money, right? I only saw a check. But the whole purpose of that was that our sacrifices, our things were like for me, being able to just to go shopping and buy some clothes, that was my highlight. Like that was my thing. Like, oh man, school's coming. I gotta get some clothes. Right. I gotta get ready for the school year, so I'm not looking with the same clothes I did last year. And we got to get that new JanSport backpack, right? Because the little checkered one, because that's
JanSport.
You remember that?
It matched my Vans.
Don't even play it like you don't know what I'm talking about. But those were those were our sufferings, right? Like do you remember those times where you're like trying to pedal? Like, yeah, I'll give you a ride, but you got to give me $2 for gas, right? Because we didn't have gas money. We had cars, junkers, but we had no gas money for them. So we're like, oh, you want to go where? McDonald's? Yeah, bro, you spot me though, because it just that's the things that today's kids they're like they have the Teslas, they have the nice cars, they have that mommy and daddy buy them, right? That they cost them nothing. They pay under their insurance. They're again, their biggest thing is like, I don't know what to get today, whether an espresso or a cappuccino or a frap
sometimes that can be the parents' thing too. I mean, the amount of times that I've heard this statement come out, my kid's about ready to, start driving. Oh, okay, cool. Are you going to buy him a car or just give me your old one? They don't want my old one.
Yeah.
What?
You know what I got? You know what I got? I had a Datsun B210. It looked like an egg.
I remember the B210.
Remember that? It wasn't even called Nissan. It was a Datsun, right? And like, dude, bro. But I was happy to have it. I used to shine the thing like, man, that was the nicest white color out there. I used to armor all the plastic black fenders just so it could shine for
What
at least.
year was that we started driving?
What's that?
What year did we start driving?
Dude,
Would that be? I don't even know.
87?
87, something like that.
Yeah. But we were poor. You know what my first vehicle was? Because I had to get it because my parents didn't really want to buy me one. I had a scooter, bro. I had a little Honda scooter. Remember they were coming out real popular? I had one of those. We even had a parking spot for them at the high school. I don't know if you remember. Like they had like, you remember like right by the gym,
courts?
right by the gym. They had a little square little thing, had little chains on it. That's where you parked your like little motorcycles.
I didn't know what those were for.
Mopeds and stuff. Yeah, I was.
Well, I had my Porsche, so I.
Here we go. Here, my 911. But you know what? As parents, though, we do want the best for our children. We don't want them to suffer.
Absolutely,
but we don't want to hand them out things like that. Like that, I don't know. It's gotten too complicated with parents where they're just like handing things to kids. They're not like, I don't know. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem is that we're not investing that importance of introducing that importance to children about hard work. You know, like making sure that, and so they think that, oh, socialism sounds like a great idea. That's way better than capitalism because capitalism doesn't work for me. And that's what I don't understand. Maybe you can help explain that to me. Maybe it's my language barrier that I don't get it. How are they saying that capitalism doesn't work for them as they stand there with all their capitalist stuff being exhibited like they're a walking billboard for capitalism? You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, like explain that to me. How are you opposing capitalism, fighting for socialism or Marxism or communism, but then you're the walking billboard for a capitalist country?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to give up all the luxuries that you have, you know, if you're going to go, because it's a whole different ball game when it comes to everybody pays into a system and everybody gets the, you know, same thing coming out. Here's the problem with it. Okay, in capitalism, what's one of the big problems? Oh, there's all these rich people that have all the money and blah 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 blah. Okay. Russia, great example. China, another great example. Very socialist / communist countries, right? Extremely communist countries. And are there rich people there?
Yeah,
there are. Are there poor people there?
Much more poor people than there are rich.
Much more poor people than there are rich. Yes, because those people are held down by a system that has now been allowed to exist, right? And things like, you know, their right to bear arms doesn't exist. I mean, so they don't have a way to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how does one group win over another group? Usually because they have the
fear
means
of force.
Yeah, if you go back to like medieval times or what have you, you know, there was no guns or anything, right? Well,
they had dragons.
They had dragons. If we had a dragon, man, we were getting. But you know, the knights show up on, you know, the cavalry. You know, they have horses and everything, and swords and all this, and the peasants have like
pitchforks made out of wood.
Best.
Yeah,
made out of wood. Yeah, you're no competition, so you can't fight back against these tyrannical people. And that's
blacksmith worked for the crown. So you had no iron workers in the small little towns and the villages,
right? And if you did, they usually weren't allowed to make much more than, and at the time they were making horseshoes for the horses, right. You know, if they could, as fast as they could,
mm-hmm.
You know, and then they were usually made by the king or whoever was over that, you know, the what the heck do they call them? Kind of the governor over those areas. Yeah, they wouldn't allow them to have swords and stuff like that. Of course, people, you know, put them to the side just in case, but still, again, 1 or 2 swords, 10 guys against, you know, 50 guys with like state of the art swords for the time. It's a tough battle. But so here's a couple, and people aren't going to know a lot of these names, but Yakubu Gowon, 1.1 million people killed under his reign. Was he a capitalist or a dictator / communist / socialist? Well, he wasn't a capitalist. No. All right. Mengistu Haile Mariam, 1.5 million people killed. What side was he on? Not capitalist.
Clearly not capitalist.
Kim Tu-sung, 1.6 million people killed. Pol Pot, 1.7 million people
Are
killed.
these real names, bro?
They are.
Pol Pot.
Yeah, Pol Pot. Ismail Enver Pasha, 2.5 million deaths. Hideki Toho, 5 million deaths.
Are these like dictators?
Yeah. Leopold II of Belgium.
Oh,
2 to 15 million deaths. They don't even know how many deaths. Most people have heard of this turd bucket, Adolf Hitler, 17 million deaths. And here's the thing. Oh, well, dictator. Yeah. Guess what the Hitler Youth was the socialist party.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. They were socialist, okay?
Hitler
Joseph
was socialist.
Stalin. And here's the thing I have a problem with, because I saw this on a YouTube video, and this guy passes by Mao, passes by Stalin, and just says, oh, there's Mao, there's Stalin. Oh, look at this Adolf Hitler guy. He's so disgusting. And he was, okay. But he makes a point to stop there because he's so indoctrinated. Adolf Hitler, this is horrible. I don't even know why they have this. This is like in the Smithsonian or something, right?
Yeah.
And he's so horrible. He was 17 million deaths. Guess how many deaths under Stalin? 23 million deaths. You know how many under Mao?
How many?
78 million deaths. So
there's a big focus because Hitler focused on one group, right? The Jews. And it was horrible what he did and how he did it.
Absolutely.
Right? Horrible.
Absolutely.
But all these other dictators were just in the masses. It didn't matter what you were. You were just you're
These are our own people.
Yeah, you're going. That and that's that's even worse. They're your own people. These are the people that trust that you're going to make the right decision for everybody.
Right.
And they're killing you, right? Because they're not in favor of what you're doing.
So if you add up all the other people, so what did I name? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Pol Pot, your favorite.
I love
1.7 million, 2.5, 5 million, 15 million, 17, 23. Mao killed more than everybody combined. And he doesn't get half the bad press that Adolf Hitler does.
Mao.
China.
And how many people, here's the thing, some of those counts are people that just disappeared, right? People just, we don't know where they're at, right? Probably in mass graves, like what they do.
I have a buddy of mine that lives over in another state, and he is from Vietnam. And he came over here, brought him and his wife, and they brought their son when he was just born. Mm-hmm. His son is now a pharmacist. He has won all kinds of awards and everything.
Nice.
They have had him live at their home, and his son never paid a dime for anything. They bought him a car, paid for all of his schooling, everything. They said, we do all this for you as long as you get your grades and do all this stuff, and you live under our house rules. And guess what? This kid's making a good 6-figure income now. He's a district manager for one of the big pharmaceutical, not pharmaceutical,
pharmacies,
but like a Walgreens kind of thing,
yeah.
Yeah. And he's doing great. So I used to sit down and talk to his dad, who was the guy I worked with for a little while, and he would say, man, and he still texts me to this day. He's always like, vote Democrats out. They are going down a bad path. He says, listen, when I was in Vietnam, he said, when I was a teenager, they would tell us, you're sitting there having a thing of tea or something like that. Do not talk about politics. He said, you could be talking politics and talk mess about somebody in the political realm, and the next day you'll never hear from that person again. Ever.
That's crazy.
You won't know what happened to them or anything. They just disappear because you can't talk bad about, the party that's in power. And when you start thinking about it, what's going on now, I'm cool if somebody says, well, I don't like Trump. I'd rather have DeSantis, or I'd rather have, whoever in office. The thing is that you have to start to realize if voices are being silenced on any side that are not saying death to something, right? Like, I get it. When you and I have talked about this before, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, right? Mm-hmm. You also can't call for the death of people just because you don't like them,
correct,
right? And you're in the political realm. but dissent against folks that you don't agree with, or you really have done your due diligence, research, and said, you know what, this person, if they get into power, they're gonna. I mean, they have a track record of doing weird stuff, and
No, I
just
don't
like you,
know. I have one person in mind.
yeah. Well, I mean, we've got a guy in office right now that, you know, in the course of 40 to almost 50 years now, has done some really dumb things, and people are like, "Yeah, he's doing the best job ever." And you know what?
He's as a senator, he was a liar. He brought
He
the
was a
worst.
racist
He was racist. He brought the worst
dude.
bill that targeted minorities to go to prison. I mean, horrible track record, and we
Well,
vote him in because we forget because of a bad tweet. You know, and that just goes to
well,
show
he
the direction that our society is going to with their emotions and their feelings being so impactful. You know, like, do you remember back in the days when you used to be called names when you were a small kid and you know you were like, you just you
sticks and stones,
right.
buddy, sticks and
Yeah,
stones.
your parents, your grandparents would tell you like, don't let that bother you. You know, they
Yeah.
hate themselves. That's why they're picking on you. You know, and I took that to heart, man. I never really I never paid attention. You know, and even now people crack jokes at me and you know and stuff like that, and I laugh it off and I crack jokes that are better than theirs, and clearly they don't handle it as well. But you know,
Yeah,
it
they're
is
like,
what it.
why would you say that about me?
Yeah, and but the point is like we've become a society of feelings, you know, where common sense has it clearly has been outweighed by your emotions and your feelings and this and that. And I don't know where it started. I don't know why it started. I don't know if it's been planted in there by people. I don't know. You know, the point I'm making is that in a society that we live in today, we can't allow that because we live in a society of capitalism where hard work gives you that money, right? Like if you want to be rich, you can in America. You just got to work hard for it. It's not going to be
Right.
handed to you, right? It's not something that, oh, I'm going to hand this down to you. I mean, clearly, Barron Trump could do that because his dad's rich, but you know, like you and I and everybody else and our children, I can't hand off a multi-million company to my child if I don't have one, right?
Mm.
So we in this society, in capitalism, the way it works is that if I want to be successful, I have to work for it. It's not just handed
Yeah,
to me.
and we have the same opportunity, and I love it when
We do.
you know, people start saying, well, as somebody that's, you know, white or what have you, you have more opportunity and everything, and it's like, you know, now I was telling you, I went to a men's group deal last night, and
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about some things, and this guy years ago came up to me, and he had come over to my house. We were doing a
Drugs.
get together and
Oh
stuff,
yeah, yeah.
and he just comes in one day and just randomly he's like, "Hey man, like you'll never know what it's like to, you know, to be in my position. Like you got all this stuff and everything, and you know, this house and
I don't understand people like
you
that.
know, you should be feel really lucky about it." And I've talked to you about
Yeah.
this kind of thing, and I told him, I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "So let me ask you a question. How many Fourth of July and Memorial Day barbecues have you been to?" He's like, "Oh man, so many in my family and this and that." I said, "You know how many I've been to? Zero in 40 years, because I've worked weekends, I've worked nights, I've worked
Holidays.
so so I gave up, right? All those cool things, all those trips, all the Instagram pictures in Paris, I gave all that up so I could have this place that I'm in and live the life that I have. You gave that up to go have a barbecue and to go to all these places and have all these things. So we all make our own decisions. And the thing is, it drives me nuts, especially you know, if somebody says, well, you know, look at the black culture and society, they unfortunately don't have the same
I call BS.
opportunities and
BS.
everything. Well, so I worked with a guy that was Haitian, that was from Haiti, and he was he was a blacker than black, and this was the nicest man. He was the nicest dude in the world. This guy was working on his second master's degree. He was working two jobs, had a bunch of kids. He did painting. He went to street fairs and sold paintings out there. Guess what he didn't do? He didn't drink. He didn't smoke. He no drugs.
What did he do?
His
Sorry,
daughters.
so that was a song. Don't drink, don't.
What did he do? Yeah, but guess what? Guess what other people of his colored skin thought of him? He was a nerd. He's a dork. All this kind of stuff. So you know what? He gave up being a cool kid, right, to have this life that the last time I heard from him, he was working for county government. He was like one of the lead people in county government.
That's called hard work and dedication. So, and let me tell you one thing. I'm gonna be the first to tell you
that it had nothing to do with skin color.
No,
it had everything
that by
to do with
far. Like when I lived, you remember when I lived in Las Vegas, in Nevada?
Yeah.
Mayor Goodwin, I believe that was his name. Mayor Goodwin had a program out there for minorities, right? Because he didn't want all these big companies coming to Las Vegas and just taking over. He wanted small little shops, restaurants or good. He wanted local people. So he had programs out there for minorities. We're like, hey, if you want to open up a business, come get a loan. So the state's going to help you. And boom, boom. They'll find a place for you. They'll fix it up. They'll give you this money, this loan, a good interest rate. All that he was trying to kickstart the economy in small business, in minorities, right. in like North Las Vegas, where it's kind of a lot of minorities and said crime is kind of high, blah blah. So he was trying to increase entrepreneurship with minorities in those areas. So right. You're not going to sit here and tell me that it's impossible or your skin matters or no. The only way it matters is that you probably get more perks if you're a different color than you are white. Sorry to say, Jay. Sorry, but that's the truth. It is what it is.
And see, and I don't even. That doesn't even hurt my feelings, because you see it in the college campuses where now the Asian kids they don't want as many of them in the schools, so they're making their tests harder and everything, and it's like
that's so ridiculous.
They're still probably going to do better anyways, right?
They're going to study harder now because it's a challenge.
Right. Well, yeah, and their parents will not let them fail at that.
But you know what?
Unfortunately,
that just drops that degree now just means nothing because people are getting by with mediocre grades.
Right. That's right. And, at this point, I don't know, going to college and getting a degree, unless it's specifically for something, if it's just these general degrees, they don't have a lot of weight with anything. I mean, you got guys that have been, that get out of trade schools making a 6-figure income.
Oh, yeah.
Paid back their student loan within,
which are
3 to 6 months,
which are a fraction of the cost of the university loans. But you know what?
And then these people
that's socialism, not
because again, like I told these guys last night, I said, man, I was looking at this job posting, and they wanted the person to have a master's degree, and they were going to pay like $58,000 a year
for a master's degree.
For a master's degree. Well,
isn't that the cost of one semester?
The requirement, the job requirement was to have a master's degree, right? And the pay was $58,000 a year.
Wow.
So, the thing is a lot of these
Walmart manager that makes 6 figures.
That's right. Yeah, but that's not a cool job to have, and that's not what they want. They want something that says they work for, a Google or something like that.
My bank account's gonna look cool.
The problem. That and it goes back to that whole thing. Are you willing to make the sacrifice to do this? And you know what? You're not. And that's the biggest problem with it. So, but listen, guys, socialism is not the way.
Marxism
is definitely not the way, and socialism is the way to Marxism, right? And really,
Marxism is the gateway to communism.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, they're trying to hop, skip, jump socialism and just do the Marxist thing by everything that's going on right now. You will get the folks that will say, well, in the Scandinavian countries and stuff, socialism is where. Well, those are not full socialist countries either. And here's the big key to that. So where are the only places that socialism has kind of maybe worked, where they have a decent flow and everything? These are almost all predominantly white countries. So is that what we
Weird.
want? Isn't that yeah? And most of your most liberal socialist countries in the world are all white countries. So most of the darker skinned countries of the world are more conservative countries. So all these kids that are saying that, oh, well, you know, all the racism and everything, we need to join together and we need to be socialist. Well, you guys are kind of going the wrong direction, you know, for this whole thing. Most of your, if you want to be a little bit more, you know,
Yeah.
grouped together, the conservative countries usually are more accepting of other people than, you know, these all whitey countries.
The only thing I could say is
socialist,
the only thing I could say is my kids grew up in a they know communism, and so they really value democracy. Because in my household, I was the dictator. I was a communist
Yeah.
party, so they don't want to go back to that. They're like, nah, we
That's
like
right,
democracy.
yeah.
I taught them well.
That's fine. Well, you guys, thanks for joining us as you always do, and we really appreciate it. We've got a whole back catalog of stuff. Please check it out. Give a thumbs up if you like this episode. You can also email us and find all of our social media platforms at Linktree / Joe and Jay Outspoken. Yeah. You
One
guys,
day,
we'll
I
see
swear.
it. Yeah, we do this every Tuesday, and we do our new. What are we going to be on our 5th episode of Outspoken Men's Edition?
Yeah.
Yeah, on mid-month Wednesday. So next month, mid-month, we just had the last one here. What was it, last week?
Mhm.
And yeah, it was really good.
They're getting
and,
good. They're getting better. So join us for those episodes, you men out there, even women. It's great.
Yeah, like I say, I went to a men's deal last night. It was the first one we had, and it was kind of all inspired by, you know, this getting this thing going. So
Yeah.
anyhow, everybody, take care of one another,
And remember, do better, be better.
and as always,
God bless America.
America.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.